Imagine being a black voter in a battleground state like Michigan, for example. You go to your neighborhood precinct like you do every single election day to cast your ballot, but this time, suddenly, a poll worker you've never ever seen before challenges your right to vote. That's actually the reality that we may be facing voters across Detroit and other cities in Michigan and other swing states in this year's midterm elections. Republicans are recruiting a, quote, army of poll workers as part of a, quote, multi-pronged strategy to target and potentially overturn votes in Democratic precincts, according to Politico, which says it has obtained video of GOP operatives training grassroots activists. These trainings that include slides like this on how to challenge a voter. And if that sounds familiar to you, it might be because you read a book and you may have seen this before. Prior to Selma and the Voting Rights Act, in organized efforts to keep Black Americans in the South from voting, and then using violence or threats against some who dare to try and vote anyway. That's American history. That's why they're trying to ban it from schools. Joining us now to break this all down, Michael Steele, former chairman of the RNC, MSNBC political analyst, and also with us, Brad Woodhouse, senior advisor to the DNC. I mean, Brad, what is the Republican strategy here? I'm kind of tired of like these secret videotapes of their like training sessions to subvert democracy, and they just like pass by without a lot of like controversy. But it feels very problematic that they're actually training folks on the right to show up and harass voters. That feels very anti-democratic to me. What do you think?
Well, look, this is the anti-democratic party these days, Serlene. I mean, look, the cat was out of the bag when they tried to sack the Capitol on January 6, 2021, when Trump called the Secretary of State in Georgia and asked him to find just 11,870 votes. I mean, this is a party that is not ascendant in terms of voters and the number of people that want to be part of that party. So what they want to do is try to deny the other side the right to vote or the opportunity to have its vote counted. And as Chairman Steele knows from his time at the RNC, this has been going on for a long time. There was a consent decree in place to prevent what they called ballot security measures or ballot integrity measures that was in place until 2018 to stop Republicans from engaging in activities to intimidate voters, to stop people from casting a lawful vote. That went away. The Voting Rights Act was gutted by the Supreme Court. And here we are, Republicans taking what is a normal activity of parties, recruiting poll workers to help administer elections, and telling them instead of helping administer elections, challenge voters in precincts that are heavily Democratic.
Right. I mean, Michael, one of the things that is important to note here is that, you know, poll watchers, that's not an unusual concept, but it's normally something that's nonpartisan. It's volunteers in the community who come to help the people in their community participate in democracy. What we're talking about here is Republican activists working as poll watchers who are supposed to be impartial, but they're not in this case. They're there to harass. I mean, speak to the risks of, you know, the folks who want to go exercise their right to vote that they are facing, and really just to exercise their fundamental right to participate in American democracy.
Well, it's more or less an inside strategy to effectively diminish the desire to vote, to sort of put a chill on it, because no one wants to be harassed. I'm not going to stand in line for 6 hours because, oh, they took away, you know, 3 precincts in my community. So now we're all forced to funnel to this location. I'm standing here for 6 hours, and then I get inside and I got some guy who I don't know, who really doesn't know me, saying that I wasn't born here. And so that's the goal here. It's important to understand what the RNC is doing in terms of distinguishing. Brad is exactly right. When I was national chairman, I was under a consent decree that had been in place from a New Jersey case in the 1980s that prevented the RNC from engaging in voter activities that arguably would be in this space, a possible repression of votes. So, but the parties do still get to play, and the way they play is we cannot engage directly with workers. DNC doesn't, RNC doesn't. You funnel them to the state and local election authorities because they're their employees. They become their employees effectively. They're paid by the local county board, et cetera, to do the functional work that's required. What the parties do is we engage with volunteers who are poll watchers, not poll workers, but poll watchers.
Right.
And the poll watchers are the ones who are in the room to make sure that our party isn't gypped in some way, right? So we then go to poll workers and say, hey, we have a problem with this particular process, the way you process that, or this particular voter. What the RNC is doing, being slick by half, is they're taking poll watchers and training them as poll workers. A lot of these poll watchers are QAnon deniers, right? These are people who, the 800 and so people, 50 people that they've already got in play in Michigan, the vast majority of those people are people who do not believe Joe Biden was duly elected, that there was fraud in the election in Michigan, even though there wasn't. So they're jigging the system in a way that you're not getting typical poll workers, grandma, cousin Susan, who volunteered year after year. You're now getting hardened activists, hardened election deniers, putting them in the position to be poll workers who have direct access to both voters and ballots.
So this is a scary development. And again, this is not completely unprecedented. It's just it's a new iteration of the subversion of democracy when Black people try to participate in it. But Brad, what's the Democratic counter? What is the strategy? Is there an army of lawyers coming?
Well, yes, there's an army of lawyers. The DNC announced a program last year to invest $25 million to protect people's right to vote. Remember, what we want to do is we want more people to vote. We want people of both parties to vote. We want people to come out, and we want their rights protected. And we have lawyers in place all across the country. We have extensive and plus up activity in the battleground states around that. But I'll tell you the other thing, Zerlina, is, the parties can engage, the DNC, the local Democratic parties, our lawyers, our litigators, the judges and judicial branch will have to engage here. But voters can have a say too. One way to make sure that this crap doesn't work, that Republicans are trying, is to overwhelm these polling places with your votes, with your Democratic votes, with turning out in Wayne County and not letting a close election be contested by these shenanigans, by overwhelming the system with voting. Turning out to vote is the salve for voter suppression.
I believe in basketball, they call that ball don't lie, in honor of the first day of the NBA Finals. Michael Steele and Brad Woodhouse, thank you so much for being here. Please stay safe. Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.